Hey everyone, Zishan here from Royal LePage Signature with a tiny bit of good news from the GTA real estate market. Sales increased for the first time in 6 months. We saw a total MLS sales in March. It increased by 1.7% over a year ago. We got up to just over 5,000 homes from the same period last year. However, keep in mind that this is the second lowest total in the last 30 years, with activity 43% below our 10-year average. If we look at the first quarter as a whole, year over year, sales were down 7% from the same time last year. So a little glimmer of hope, but still ways to go for our GTA real estate market. With respect to our inventory, new listings dropped for the third straight month. So less homes are coming to the market. New listings fell 17% annually to 14,442 homes. That's in March, which is 13% below the 10-year average. As a result, active inventory declined 8% from last year to just under 22,000 units. However, this is still the second highest March we've had since 2009, and it's about 60% higher than the 10-year average. It's really interesting because March, April, and May are usually the busiest times in our market where we have the most inventory and the most homes for sale. And it brings into question as to why sellers are not coming to market. We've met with many sellers this year. We've sat down and discussed sort of the entire process. And when we got to the suggested price or what their home was actually worth, they paused. A lot of sellers are looking at current market conditions and simply not coming to the market. If they're forced to move or they have to move, life is dictating it, what we're seeing is that a lot of sellers are opting to rent their homes for the time being and revisit the selling at a later date when the market is stronger. While market conditions did improve in March, they still remain historically soft. The sales to new listings ratio in March was 35%, which was an improvement from last year at 29%. However, it's still below the historic 52% on our 10-year average. We operate usually between 45 and 60%. That's a healthy market in the GTA with respect to sales and new listings. Months of inventory dropped to a 15-month low at 4.3 months of inventory. That's a sharp decrease from January, where we were at 5.8 months. And just as a reminder, a balanced market usually operates around 4 months of inventory. A seller's market is 3 months or less of inventory, and a buyer's market is 5 months or above. This, however, is still, even at 4.3 months, we're still double our 10-year average. The improvement in market conditions did help sellers in the month of March. Homes were selling at about 98% of their asking price, which is a 9-month high. The average prices actually moved up ever so slightly, just under 1% from February to March. However, looking at these prices year over year, average prices declined 6.7%, and they landed at $1,017,000. It is the 14th consecutive month of decreasing prices year over year. So we still have ways to go before this market starts to turn around. Average prices are down about 22 to 25% from the peak, depending on what neighborhood and what product type you're looking at. And remember, you will only see prices start to rise once sales start to rise. They move in harmony. Sales rising is a precursor to prices rising. So once we start to see sales ramping up consistently month over month over month, that is the indicator that prices will start to rebound and this market will start to turn around. I hope you have found this helpful. If you have any questions, as always, please feel free to DM me or text me at 416-450-3163.